foot-long course of 36-inch deep mud with a situation in which the driver must run full throttle across that 80-foot pit and then stop within another 80 feet or risk disqualification. The 4 quickest drivers will qualify for the Camel Shootout, which will determine the overall Super Modified Mud Racing Championship. The beauty of the category is in its diversity, with a myriad of engine types and body styles represented throughout the class. The first machine on the starting line in our 80-foot Super Modified Mud Racing competition is the chopped section, narrowed and lowered four-wheel drive Ford Ranger called the Gambler. Hard on the brakes, but with plenty of room to spare, the Gambler comes to rest. The nitrous oxide-injected, fuel-injected Ford wedge-powered machine records an elapsed time of 2.23 seconds, skimming over the surface of the mud exactly the way it's done, and then coming to rest in the sand shutdown area. But here's the 3-time and defending World Super Modified Mud Racing Champion, Tom Martin and the Super Trooper. An incredible run. Martin will stop with more than enough room to spare. The elapsed time, 1.86 seconds on a picture-perfect pass. That will put Martin obviously #1 in the program as we are vying for 4 available positions. Here's the 1985 World Champ, New Hampshire's David Ray in the full-bodied Ford Ranger called Midnight Magic. Another great run, using up a lot of shutdown area, but David Ray brings it to a stop with 5 feet left in the 80-foot shutdown area. The elapsed time for the 3,000-pound Ford, 1.99 seconds. That will qualify right now #3 in the 4-car shootout field. From the state of New Jersey, it's Rich Marcini and his nitrous oxide-injected big block Chevrolet-powered 1932 coupe called Naturally Wired. Marcini, a great run, and he uses up more distance down there than anybody has so far. The elapsed time for the bright yellow 32 Chevy, 2.12 seconds. Believe it or not, that may not hold up for a starting position in the shootout program. Right now, it takes a run of 2:23 to get in the field, but coming up next, it's the machine that took Tom Martin to 3 straight world championships, the Mud Patrol. Paul Schaefer, the driver, a good run, yanking the left front wheel. The elapsed time for the Mud Patrol 32 Chevy, 2.04 seconds. That will qualify in the #3 spot right now. Meanwhile, back on the line, it's a father and son team out of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Preston Ward, the elder member of the family, a longtime champion on the U.S. Hopping Association Trail. His young son, Matt, the actual owner and builder of this 1930 Ford Model A. The nitrous-injected Ford wedge-powered machine on this run being driven by the younger member of the family in one of his very first championship indoor events. Shutting it down right at the finish line, keeping it straight and locking up the brakes. Matt Ward records an elapsed time of 2.26 seconds. It won't qualify for the final 4. You can see the machine skimming the surface of the mud exactly like it's supposed to be done in the sport of super modified mud racing. The objective, to keep the machine above the slime and apply power rather than trying to plow through it. The next man up in qualifying is Greg Noonan and the Nancy's Nightmare, a traditional piece of equipment when it comes to super modified mud racing configurations. A fiberglass-bodied Jeep CJ funny car, but Noonan runs into problems and goes down like the Titanic. And he is upset. Obviously, the machine lost power just off the starting line, and that gives you an indication of just how deep this mud is with a 3,000-pound machine on top. Noonan seems to take it all in stride, though, and that's all part of super modified mud racing. Now the big question for the U.S. Hopping Association officials is, how do you get him out? For the quick 4 right now. The next machine on the starting line, another New England veteran on the U.S. Hopping Association Tour, the ageless 1967 Ford Bronco of Bill Barrett. The nitrous oxide-injected Ford wedge-powered machine has been around for a long, long time and is still one of the toughest in this part of the country. Remember, it takes a run of 2.122 seconds to qualify for the quick 4 right now. Barrett, with a little bit of tire spin off the starting line, digs in deep in the sand trap at the finish line of this course. You can see the machine spinning the rear tires violently while the front tires remained hooked up. The elapsed time for the machine, 2.46 seconds will miss the bump spot by a bunch. Like I said, he had to go quicker than 2:12 to become a part of the Camel Shootout. On the starting line is the quickest super modified mud racer in history. The world elapsed time record holder from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Jeff Acker's supercharged Chevy-powered Insanity Roadster. The man who ran 1.683 seconds only a few weeks ago. The 1927 Ford Model T Roadster-bodied machine is easily one of the most powerful ever created for this sport. 2,000 horsepower worth of fuel-injected, methanol-burning, supercharged Chevrolet. The mark to beat to qualify, once again, 2.12 seconds. And along with the event title and the World Championship points, Acker is here for another reason, to beat three-time world champ Tom Martin. An incredible run on the brakes, hard! And he stops within inches of the disqualification banner. Look at this pass in slow motion. Picture perfect, then hard on the brakes. The elapsed time, 1.92 seconds. Good for the number 2 qualifying spot. And it now takes a run of 2.043 seconds to make the program. Here's the wild man of East Coast mud racing, Mike Spina, the psychotic beast, supercharged, fuel-injected Chevy-powered 27 Model T. Staged and waiting for the green light. Spina knows he's got to come up with a good one. He shuts the engine down just a tad early, maybe 5 feet before the finish line, and he knows it. He had to go quicker than 2.043 seconds to qualify. Spina runs 2.048 seconds, and by 5/1000ths of a second will fail to make the final 4-car field. What a tough break for Spina. The next machine on the starting line, the one and only Papa Smurf, fuel-injected, nitrous-injected Chevy-powered 23T. And almost immediate problems for the Papa Smurf machine, way down on power. And as soon as he got off the throttle at the finish line, the machine sank like a rock. You can see on the replay the car did not have enough power to keep the tires above the mud. The rear end continually sinking all the way down, and then watch when he lifts off the throttle. Down she goes. Meanwhile, in the Metrodome in Minneapolis, getting ready for one of the most courageous motorcycling attempts for the 4-car Camel Shootout in super modified mud racing action. The Total Obsession supercharged Chevy-powered Ford Bronco up next, trying to run quicker than 2.04 seconds. On the brakes hard, and the Emmy Maryland Sun-sponsored machine will stop in time. Look at the tire distortion on the rear tires, underpowered near the finish line. A rough landing, but an elapsed time of 2.13 seconds comes 0.09 of a second short. Now for brute power, one of the toughest machines in New England is the risky business. Nitrous oxide injected Chevrolet-powered Jeep CJ funny car. Out of the state of Vermont, one of the only machines on the national tour from that state, this truck is notorious for having enough power for full track wheel stands. Checking the nitrous oxide injection system, now staging up. The front wheel's up for most of the course and actually using the ruts at the finish line to slow the machine down. Look at this, 3,000 pounds of Jeep in the air from 1,500 Chevy horsepower. On the brakes hard and stopping in time, the Team Risky Business machine runs 2.25 seconds but fails to qualify. And the final attempt will be another nitrous oxide injected monster. In fact, it's the Monster Master fiberglass body Jeep CJ funny car on the line. A brand new machine out of Upper New York State. You can see him purging the nitrous oxide system. That's the white vapor you see. 53 degree below zero oxygen injected directly into the engine. staged and waiting for the green light countdown. The visor is dropped and the driver readies himself. Absolutely incredible. I cannot believe that the throttle was applied for that long. And as you can see, a mushroom cloud of death smoke emanates from the fuel-injected Chevrolet. That thing is a cinder. On the replay, look at the front wheels. No power was going to the front end of the machine. It had only rear-wheel drive, and two-wheel drive won't cut it in 36 inches of mud. Somehow, the pilot managed to stay in the throttle until it literally had no more left, and now sits resting on the bottom of this 3-foot deep pit, waiting to be hoisted out. But if nothing else, we're down to the 4 qualifiers in the Camel Shootout, who will battle it out in this super modified mud racing bash for the overall championship. As the ground crews hook up yet another hapless machine, we've got a chance to look at final qualifying statistics. The #1 man on the field at a track record 1.863 second run, Tom Martin, the 3-time world champ in his brand new 32 Chevy, the Super Trooper entry. #2, his arch rival and another contestant for the world championship in the Camel Series, Jeff Acker's Insanity Roadster, followed by one for the Ford fans, David Ray's supercharged Ranger Midnight Magic, and the other half of the 2-car Tom Martin team, the Mud Patrol 32 Chevy. Don't go away. Qualifiers included the defending world champ Tom Martin, followed closely by his arch rival Jeff Acker. The Mud Patrol machine qualified 4th, but #3 was the '85 world champ David Ray, and we talked to him about what the track was going to be like coming into this championship dash.
Well, I don't think it's going to be that much better now after that truck got stuck, but you never can tell.
Did you honestly think that the 199 was going to hold?
I had no idea that was going to hold. I didn't think so at all.
Well, this will at least put you in a situation where you can at least battle the quicker guys out there, and this is a truck that's already proven to be the quickest of its type. Is there anything that you think this truck with its extra weight has an advantage?
Not in that track at all, but we did come out and change some bars and let a little air out of the tires, so hopefully we can do it.
Well, David Ray, for one, had better hope he can against the likes of this man. At 6'6", 375 pounds, he's always referred to as the world's largest world champion. This is Tom Martin, the 3-time and defending U.S. Hobbit Association Camel title holder from Portage, Indiana, and his nitrous oxide injected 588 cubic inch Chevy powered 32 coupe called Super Trooper. As the first man to qualify for the Quick 4 in the Camel Shootout, he will get first shot in the shootout to set the pace for the title. An incredible run, but sideways at the finish line, and Tom Martin has disqualified himself by taking down a finish line marker pole. Look at the wheel stand when Tom drops the hammer with 1,600 horsepower. That's why it went out of bounds. The front end was never on the ground to steer it, and Tom Martin suffers a rare disqualification in a final round.
Yeah, I know. Them holes are terrible. It pulled me over. I hope we can do it tomorrow because this car is fast.
I got to admit that you shut it off an honest 6 or 8 feet before the finish line, so it was on a pass. It hooked up a lot better. The changes worked.
Yeah, I was hoping when I lifted it'd pull back over in, but it didn't.
The elapsed time was a 1:83, so Martin actually ran quicker than he did in qualifying. That would have been a new track record. But here is the underdog in this field. Supercharged Ford power in a 3,000-pound Ford Ranger pickup. One of the last of the full-body trucks in this sport. David Ray, the '85 world champ out of Plaistow, New Hampshire, in a machine giving up an honest 700 pounds to its opponents. Ray is now free to set the pace. Tom Martin's run was disqualified. There is no leader. On the brakes hard, sliding towards the end of the course, but he stops it in time and he knows it. Look at the launch on this thing. Perfect weight transfer. The front wheels just barely skimming the surface, the rear tires digging in. The elapsed time, 1.78 seconds. One of the quickest runs ever for a full-body truck and a new track record.
I'm getting better at this after all this time. All right, yeah!
This is the best year you've had in an honest 6.
Oh, yeah, this is great. I owe it all of my guys that helped me, I'm telling you. Those guys are fantastic.
Remember, you got the winningest vehicle in history and the national record holder coming up behind you. It's going to be interesting.
That's all right. I'm still happy. I did fantastic.
Good job, guy.
Thank you very much. Yeah!
It's been a long time since we've seen David Ray that thrilled. But as we pointed out, here is the winningest mud vehicle in history. This is the car that took Tom Martin to 3 world championships and some 41 national event victories. It's now driven by his new partner, Paul Schaefer, a longtime oval track stock car racer in his rookie year of mud racing. You saw him run 2.04 seconds in qualifying for the number 4 spot in this 4-car field. Now, can the rookie driver pick up his first major title of the 1991 season? An incredible wheel stand produced more by engine torque than by traction. Watch this thing leave the line and keep an eye on the left front wheel as it just keeps going up and up and up until it's twisted at the finish line on a 1.81 second run. That's the quickest pass he's ever made.
Well, that's the fastest I've ever been so far, so I'm happy with that.
I was just going to say, it is the quickest run you've made since taking over the reins of this car. Was there something right up that you changed before the shootout?
No, not for the shootout. I forgot to shift on the first round, but I shifted that time, so I'm getting better.
Well, that will leave the final driver in this 4-car Camel shootout. It's the world elapsed time record holder, Milwaukee's Jeff Acker in the Insanity supercharged Chevy-powered Roadster. And considering that the current leader ran 1.78 seconds with a 3,000-pound vehicle, you'd have to think that this machine, weighing in at about 2,400 pounds, should be able to surpass that mark. David Ray's Midnight Magic Ford-powered Ranger leads the field. Acker must go quicker than 1.783 seconds with Chevy power to win this Camel title. And Acker shuts the engine down 5 feet before the finish line. That may have hurt him. He had to go quicker than 1.783 seconds. Acker runs 1.794 seconds with the brakes locked up 10 feet before the finish line pulls. He shut it off early, and it cost him the race.
Yeah, I didn't worried about the stop line. I shouldn't have, but I did.
11 thousandths of a second. It probably wouldn't have taken more than a foot or two more in the throttle.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't like sliding through the stop line this far from home.
Still an incredible effort, especially in the sense that this track was so tricky in the first round that you managed to come back like this.
Yeah, it seemed like, I don't know, later in the track, it seems like it wants to hold more power. The starting line's pretty bad, but I was worried about down here.
Here's a look at the one driver who figured out every single aspect of this particular track. Perfect weight transfer, incredible traction, and driving beyond what was needed. David Ray, the winner of the Super Modified Mud Racing Championship in the Midnight Magic Ford Ranger. As if that battle was not wild enough, the